Welcome to Sinful's Horror Stories. Today's video features true scary stories sent in from viewers like you. Sit back, relax, stay sinful. Story number 1. A few years ago, my brothers and I would go on midnight bike rides during the summer. This happened for weeks without any strange events or a reason to be afraid. Yes, it was midnight and the streets were only lit by streetlights, but it was still thrilling to do. I'm a paranoid person, so even though I had no reason to be afraid, I still was. We would ride our bikes in close proximity to our neighborhood. My brothers and I lived in a nicer area, the suburbs, I guess you could say. With that being said, my guard was down and even more, because I knew nothing sketchy really ever happened in my city. One night, around 11 p.m., my brothers and cousins went on a bike ride and I decided not to go. They left for their bike ride and about 20 minutes later they texted me to meet them at the park that was up the street from my house. I called them and said, "No, I don't feel like it, maybe next time." 5 minutes later, I got this boost of energy and ended up walking to the park, thinking they were already there. As I said before, the park is just up the street from my house, but I was still paranoid walking by myself. The time was around 11:30 p.m. when I got to the park. To my surprise, they weren't there yet, because they were coming from the bike ride they usually went on. That left me having to sit at the park and wait until they returned. I was waiting not even 5 minutes, and I see these two young girls that are walking in my direction. As they emerge from the darkness, I realize they're coming right for me, and my heart sinks. They asked me if they could use my phone. They said that their boyfriend left them in this neighborhood and need him to pick them up. This was very confusing to me, but I let them use my phone, because I couldn't imagine being in their shoes in this type of situation. As they were using my phone, my brothers and cousin pull up on their bikes, and I feel a little relieved. They got off the phone, thanked me, and walked back in the direction they came. I told them what happened and soon forgot about it, because we began playing the game Groundies on the playground. About 20 minutes later, I see that just one of the girls is walking back towards the park. I thought this was strange because where did her friend go? They were supposed to get picked up, right? She walks up to me again and asks to use my phone because she didn't know where her friend went. This was sketchy to me, but I'll still let her use it. The same thing happens. She uses it, thanks me, and walks into the night. We all thought this was a bit weird. Since the girls didn't know the neighborhood and we did, my brother waited 5 minutes and rode his bike in the direction she came. He comes back and says, "I don't see her. I went all around the neighborhood and can't find her unless she's hiding on someone's porch." This was weird because she couldn't have gone far. This made us leave the park. I forgot to mention, the entire time we were at the park, there was this van that kept driving around the neighborhood with the lights off. It probably had nothing to do with the girls, but it was just so sketchy. When we got home, I called that number to see if the girl was okay, or if she got picked up. The call went straight to voicemail, so I texted asking if she was okay. I got a text back and it said, "Who is this?" And I replied with, "Your girlfriend used my phone to call you for a ride. I was just making sure she was okay." He then texted back and said, "I don't have a girlfriend." At this point, I was a little worried for the girls, but there was nothing more I could do. The next morning, I got a text from the number saying, "Who is this? What's your name?" And at this point, I decided to block the number because it felt so wrong. Why was he still texting me? I blocked the number and the story ends there. As time went on, I began to question if this was some type of sex trafficking setup, because the whole situation was too bizarre. Another thing I should mention, we continued to ride bikes and hang out at the park after midnight, and we would still see that van driving around the neighborhood, with no lights on. After this, we decided to take a break from our after-hour adventures before something bad happened to us. Story number 2. As a kid, I always enjoyed going to our local neighborhood park. My friends and I would ride our bikes there every evening after dinner. My parents were always fine with us staying out until dark, as long as we rode home immediately after. This happened in late June, so it was light past 10 p.m. When my friends and I arrived at the park, it was 8 o'clock. The park was bustling with families enjoying themselves and the summer heat. My pals and I spent our first hour there playing basketball and tossing around a frisbee. Time got away from me during our fun activities, and I checked my watch. It was 9:45 p.m., and the darkness was starting to fall upon us. My friend noticed that a small pickup truck had pulled up in front of the park. None of our parents had this make or model of vehicle. We thought nothing of it at first, and were just enjoying our final minutes at the park before returning home. This truck had 2 people inside from what I could make of it. The windows were very tinted and it was hard to get a good view inside. My friends and I decided to pack things up and make our way for my house. We made it to our bikes and just started pedaling. As soon as we did, the car started up and began following us very slowly. The car's headlights were off, which was so scary. My friend screamed as the car slammed into his bike. My other friend and I stopped for a moment and looked back. As I turned around, our youngest friend was being picked up off the pavement by a large man and a creepy lady. He was screaming and kicking for all he was worth, trying to free himself. We were only 10-year-old kids. My friend and I had no choice but to keep pedaling and find help immediately. We raced home and told my parents. They called the police. We all jumped into our minivan and sped down the street where our friend was last seen. There was only his bike, which had been tossed onto the sidewalk along with his fractured helmet. He has been missing for 15 years now, and as I sit and type this out, I often wonder what happened to my closest childhood friend. We were in therapy for years after this incident. The guilt I live with for not trying to help him or save him is still haunting me to this day. Thank you guys for watching and listening. Please be sure to leave a like, comment, share, and subscribe for future content. Please email your true scary stories to thesinfulsavant@gmail.com. I'll leave a link to my email in the description box below as well. If you guys don't send me stories, this channel will cease to exist. I need real, legitimate subscriber stories to keep this thing going. So please reach out to anyone you know that is into the horror scene. Send them my way. Till we meet again, stay sinful.